They say you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. Well, Ford broke a lot of engines trying to make the perfect muscle car. From overambitious designs to rushed productions, these engines represent the dark side of automotive innovation. Here is why sometimes less horsepower means more reliability. Number 1. The Cleveland Conundrum, Ford 4.9-litre 302 V8. The Cleveland 4.9-litre V8, also known as the 302 Cleveland, was Ford's answer to the muscle car craze of the early 1970s. This engine promised to be a game changer with its unique canted valve design and large port heads, allowing for excellent airflow and potentially higher revs. On paper, it looked like a winner, with power outputs ranging from 210 to 290 horsepower. It was like a well-written plan that promised to revolutionize your daily commute. But just as a perfect route can fall apart in rush hour traffic, the Cleveland faced real-world challenges. While it showed promise in performance applications, particularly in racing, the engine's large ports resulted in poor low-end torque and drivability issues in street cars. This made the Cleveland less suited for the stop-and-go traffic that most drivers encountered daily. Manufacturing complexities also plagued the Cleveland. The intricate casting process for the heads and block proved more time-consuming and expensive than Ford had anticipated. These technical problems, combined with the changing automotive landscape of the mid-1970s, led to a surprisingly short production run for the Cleveland V8. Number 2. Windsor's woes, the troubled 351 V8. As Cleveland's short-lived glory faded, Ford needed a new hero for their performance lineup. Enter the 351 Windsor, an engine that seemed to tick all the boxes on paper. But in the world of high-performance V8s, looks can be deceiving. What challenges awaited this promising power plant? The 351 Windsor, introduced in 1969, was Ford's answer to the muscle car power wars of the 1970s. With its robust design and impressive specifications, it quickly became a favorite among Ford enthusiasts. The Windsor found its way into a variety of models, from the iconic Mustang to the family-friendly Gran Torino. Its versatility and potential for high-performance builds made it a go-to choice for hot rodders looking to squeeze every ounce of power from their blue oval machines. On the racing circuit, the 351 Windsor made quite a splash. It powered Ford to victories in NASCAR and became a staple in drag racing. The engine's success on the track bolstered Ford's performance image, proving that the company could still hang with the best in the business. With its deep-breathing heads and sturdy bottom end, the Windsor seemed poised to carry Ford's performance torch well into the future. However, as more powerful versions of the 351 hit the streets, a dark cloud began to form over its reputation. High-output variants, while impressive on the dyno, began to show chronic reliability issues in real-world use. Overheating problems, head gasket failures, and premature bearing wear became all too common, especially in modified engines pushed to their limits. Number 3. Boss Battle, the short-lived 5-litre V8. As the Windsor's reliability woes cast a shadow over Ford's performance lineup, the Blue Oval was already cooking up something special in their skunkworks. Enter the Boss 5-litre V8, an engine so ambitious it was named after the big boss himself. But this tale of horsepower and hubris would ultimately end in heartbreak for Ford's engineers. The Boss 5-litre V8 burst onto the scene in 1969, aiming to dominate the muscle car wars. With a staggering 290 horsepower on tap, this power plant was a technological marvel for its time. Ford's engineers pushed the boundaries of 1960s engine design, incorporating advanced features like 4-bolt main bearings, forged pistons, and a high-rise intake manifold. The Boss moniker wasn't just a catchy name. It signified Ford's commitment to creating the ultimate performance engine. Developed specifically for the Mustang Boss 302, this V8 was designed to go head-to-head with Chevrolet's formidable 302 cubic-inch small block in Trans Am racing. But ambition often comes at a price. The Boss 5 litres complex design proved to be its Achilles heel. The engine's intricate canted valve cylinder heads were a nightmare to manufacture, requiring specialized tooling and painstaking attention to detail. Production costs soared, and quality control issues plagued early units. Despite its impressive performance on paper and on the track, the Boss V8 was simply too expensive and difficult to produce in large numbers. After just 2 years of production, Ford pulled the plug on this ambitious project. The Boss 5 litre became a legendary what-if in the annals of muscle car history. Number 4. V6 Vexation. The troubled 2.8 litre engine. The oil crisis was in full swing, and Aussie drivers were suddenly keen on cars that didn't guzzle petrol like there was no tomorrow. Ford's answer? The 2.8 litre V6. An engine that promised to be the best of both worlds, economical yet punchy enough to satisfy our love for a bit of grunt. On paper, the V6 looked like a winner. Ford slotted it into everything from family sedans to utes, confident they'd cracked the code. But as we've seen before, what looks good in the brochure doesn't always translate to the road. The engine's design was a compromise from the start. Engineers had to balance fuel efficiency with performance, and in trying to please everyone, they ended up pleasing no one. Manufacturing wasn't a walk in the park either. The compact V6 layout meant tight tolerances and complex assembly processes that gave factory workers more than a few headaches. But the real drama unfolded once these engines hit the streets. Drivers complained about lackluster acceleration, not exactly what you want when merging onto the highway. Worse still, reliability issues started popping up faster than mushrooms after rain. Oil leaks, overheating, and premature wear became all too common, leaving many owners wishing they'd stuck with their old straight six. Number 5. Windsor's redemption. The 5.8 litre V8 saga. Just when you thought Ford had thrown in the towel on big displacement, they reached back into their bag of tricks. The 5.8 litre V8 roared onto the scene in the late 1970s, aiming to silence the critics and reignite the passion for blue oval performance. But in a world demanding efficiency, was there still room for a thirsty V8? Ford engineers went back to the drawing board, determined to address the reliability gremlins that had plagued earlier Windsor engines. They beefed up the bottom end, tweaked the oiling system, and even played around with electronic fuel injection on some models. The result was a more robust power plant that found a comfortable home in Ford's truck lineup. But muscle car enthusiasts were left wanting more. While the 5.8 litre Windsor V8 showed promise, it struggled to match the raw power of its predecessors. Emissions regulations had tightened their grip, forcing Ford to prioritize compliance over performance. The days of sky-high compression ratios and massive carburetors were fading fast. Despite its improvements, the Windsor V8 received a mixed reception. Ute owners appreciated its torquey nature and improved reliability, but performance car buffs felt it lacked the punch they craved. It was a classic case of being caught between two worlds, not quite efficient enough for the fuel-conscious crowd, yet not potent enough to satisfy the horsepower junkies. Number 6. Turbo Trouble. The 2.3 litre four-cylinder fiasco. As the 1980s dawned, Ford faced a challenge, maintaining performance while meeting rising fuel efficiency demands. The Blue Oval solution? The 2.3 litre turbo four-cylinder, a compact powerhouse promising big thrills without breaking the bank at the fuel pump. This innovative engine found its way into popular models like the Mustang SVO, aiming to deliver V8-like power from a smaller, more efficient package. On paper, the 2.3 litre turbo four-cylinder looked impressive. It boasted a strong power-to-weight ratio and seemed perfect for a market wanting performance and economy. However, the real-world experience fell short of expectations. The engine's reliability became its Achilles heel. with turbo failures and head gasket issues plaguing owners before the odometer hit 6 digits. Even when running, the engine's performance often disappointed. Turbo lag was noticeable, causing power delivery as inconsistent as a mate's arrival time at the local pub. While the 2.3-litre turbo four-cylinder showed promise in controlled testing, it struggled to deliver on the streets, leaving Ford's performance ambitions temporarily stalled. As any seasoned petrolhead knows, there's often a big difference between what looks good on paper and what works in the real world. The 2.3-litre turbo four-cylinder was a prime example of this hard truth, leaving drivers stranded and mechanics scratching their heads. Number 7. The Vulcan's vulnerabilities. Ford's 3-litre V6 venture. As the dust settled on Ford's turbocharged experiment, the Blue Oval found itself at a crossroads. The late 1970s brought new challenges, with fuel economy standards tightening and consumer preferences shifting. Enter the 3-litre V6, Ford's attempt to strike a balance between power and efficiency in this transitional era. The Vulcan, as it was dubbed, quickly became a staple across Ford's car lineup. From the Taurus to the Ranger, this V6 was meant to be the jack-of-all-trades engine. Initially, it seemed Ford had hit the sweet spot. The engine was smoother than its four-cylinder counterparts and more fuel-efficient than the V8s prior. However, like a well-intentioned fusion dish that fails to satisfy either cuisine's fans, the Vulcan left many drivers hungry for more. While it met fuel economy standards, it did so at the cost of performance. Long-haul drivers, expecting a smooth transition into a new era of V6 power, found themselves disappointed. Reliability issues soon surfaced, with timing chain failures and head gasket problems leading to costly repairs. The Vulcan's reputation for durability took a hit, tarnishing Ford's image in the process. Number 8. Super Cobra Jet, the 7-litre V8's venomous bite. Just when you thought Ford couldn't push the envelope any further, they unleashed a monster onto the streets. The year was 1970, and the muscle car wars were reaching a fever pitch. Ford's answer? The 7-litre Super Cobra Jet V8, a behemoth of an engine that promised to be the ultimate power plant for their performance lineup. This wasn't just another big block, it was a statement. With a massive displacement and power figures that made gearheads weak at the knees, the Super Cobra Jet was Ford's way of saying, "We're not just in the game, we're here to dominate." The engine featured exotic components like forged pistons, a 4-bolt main bearing block, and a high-flow oil system designed to keep this beast running cool under pressure. But as impressive as it was on paper, the Super Cobra Jet had a dark side. Its production was limited, not just because of its exotic nature, but because Ford was struggling to make these engines reliable enough for everyday use. The massive power output put incredible strain on the drivetrain, leading to frequent breakdowns and costly repairs. Moreover, the Super Cobra Jet was born at precisely the wrong time. Just as Ford was perfecting this fire-breathing V8, the automotive landscape was shifting dramatically. Tightening emissions regulations and rising fuel costs were sounding the death knell for the big block era. The Super Cobra Jet, with its thirsty nature and complex emissions control needs, quickly became a dinosaur in a rapidly changing world. These engine failures weren't just mechanical hiccups for Ford, they were valuable lessons that shaped the company's future. From the Cleveland V8's airflow issues to the Vulcan's timing chain woes, each setback pushed Ford to innovate and improve. Today, we see the results in engines like the EcoBoost series, which blend power and efficiency in ways those earlier engineers could only dream of. But enough from me. What about you? Have you had any experiences with these engines, good or bad? Share your stories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this look at Ford's less successful power plants, stay tuned. We might just dive into their triumphs next time, or perhaps take a cheeky peek at some of the competition's mechanical misfires. Until then, keep those engines running smooth.